Jason Tur of Raptors.com coming at you. I've got the coach, Jack Armstrong, with me once again. Jack, first of all, your mustache is looking spectacular right now.
It is. It's a lot of gray hair, though, Jay. I'm getting old. I'm losing my fastball. I don't have much left. I'm like a caraway seed in the bakery of life. I'm just trying to make a living, just trying to find my way. But I'm doing the best I can and just hanging on here.
I think you're too modest. Both of us taking part in Movember this month. Happy to do it. But we got to take care of some business first. Some questions from our fans for the latest Ask Jack. You ready to go?
I'm fired up, raring to go. Can't wait. This is one of the great moments in my life.
I can understand why. All right. Our first question's coming to us from Johnny182. Johnny's asking, what, in your opinion, is the primary reason for the Raptors' horribly slow and sluggish start to this season?
I think they got to get better defensively. I think they've gotten away a little bit from maybe what was making them effective defensively last season. So I think that would be the thing that jumps out at me more than anything else, is just to improve on that. I think that would be the concern I have. This is a team that even if they're running, the talent level isn't going to overwhelm their opponents, where they can run up and down and get 120 points and just beat people with their talent. They're going to have to beat people because they defend really hard, they rebound the ball, and they're efficient offensively. Whether they're running it, whether they're in the half court, they play smart, they play tough, they play fundamental ball. So I think that would be the thing for me that probably jumps out at me more than anything else. And the other thing probably would be that the small forward spot, the three spots, got to become more consistent. Those would be the two areas that concern me.
We have a question from Ryan J.H. Turvey, who's asking, Jack, with all these injuries, which bench player do you think will step up and maybe surprise with their play, with a little increased opportunity?
Well, I think, number one, the Raptors need Ed Davis to play better. I really liked how he played in camp and early in the preseason, and I thought he was going to take another step this year. And so he would be a guy in terms of the front court that I would hope that maybe could earn some minutes and get an opportunity to play a little bit more and play better, because I think he can do that. I think on the perimeter, John Lucas has really struggled with his shooting. So, again, he's more of a shooting guard than he is a point. But I think he's a guy that in the preseason gave him a little bit of jolt and a little bit of impact. So they need him to obviously shoot the ball a little bit better. That's an important factor. And somebody on the wing position, whether that's Terrence Ross, Linus Clazer, Dominic McGuire, whoever that happens to be that maybe hasn't played a ton of minutes, one of those guys, I think that would probably be kind of the way to look at it.
Got a question from DMACC 1990, who's asking, Jack, it's usually Landry Fields we've heard a lot about in terms of struggles, but what about John Lucas? You mentioned his game a little earlier. What about John Lucas have you seen that's maybe been causing some of those early season struggles?
He's just not making shots. I mean, I think he's taking the same shots he took in preseason that were going in, and they're not going in right now. But the thing about him is he's going to keep shooting it, and that's how you get out of a slump. You got to have confidence, and as long as they're good shots that are responsible for your team in the flow of the offense, and you're trying to run your team, and the shot's there, then so be it. So I think Dwayne Casey has enough trust in him and belief in seeing what he's been able to do in his career that you hope that little by little he'll settle down. And obviously when you start missing shots and you're in a new environment, you start pressing a little bit, and now that becomes an issue. So I think for him, that would be critical. But I don't see any major issues in terms of like his shot mechanics or anything that he's doing different. I just think right now it's one of those things that it happens sometimes. But good shooters, even all the great ones, have gone through slumps. And he'll be a guy that he'll get in the gym, and he is in the gym working his tail off to get himself out of it. And he's going to have a night where he makes a few, and you just hope that it happens real soon.
Hey, we've got another question from at Wizard Pressure, who's asking, Jack, is it time for maybe Terrence Ross to start seeing a little bit more playing time on the floor with both Landry Fields and Allen Anderson out? Knows that defense is the focus, but do you think he should maybe see a little bit of a spike in playing time now?
A lot. If the record were a little different, I think you'd have a little more cushion to do that. You're already playing a rookie in Jonas Valanciunas, so I think physically he's a little further along. But I think if you look on the perimeter, I think Terrence Ross has a pretty high ceiling. And, at some point in time you want to see that development. But as long as it's not at the risk of putting your team in a precarious situation where you're playing against frontline guys in the NBA and you're asking a guy to really develop. You've already gone through that with DeMar DeRozan, Andrea Bargnani, and quite frankly, haven't been in the playoffs in 4 years. So you want to start to turn this thing a little bit and get pointed in a winning direction. And when you play young guys in this league, unless they're supers, unless they're franchise guys, you're going to struggle. And that's the kind of the betwixt between right now. On the other hand, when you look at Landry Fields, Linus Glazer, Allen Anderson, Dominic McGuire, and then you look at a kid like Terrence Ross, and obviously I wouldn't say he's a guy that's going to be a natural 3 in the NBA, kind of more of a 2, but, a perimeter guy, a wing guy, no matter what. What's his ceiling compared to some of those other guys? And I think that's the thing that you got to look at from an organizational perspective and kind of balance that with, going for the wins, going for the development. So my thing with him right now is if he can get on the floor every night and get a taste of it and a chance to play, and if he's playing well, you keep him out there. If he's struggling and looking like a rookie out there, then you cut it back a little bit. So a lot of it comes down to performance and how tight or loose that leash is.
Now, Jack, we have one more question. It's kind of calling on your coaching experience a little bit. So this is someone asking at Clerical Beats who's asking, Jack, as a former coach of college basketball, what advice would you give to a coach aspiring to achieve that level and maybe beyond that as well?
I think the number one thing is you have to be around it, and you got to do everything possible to get the experience. And number one, you got to coach. You got to get in the gym. You got to volunteer, get an opportunity to be a coach with a team, work summer camps, go to coaching clinics, spend a lot of time around people in the game that maybe can help you develop your philosophy and your approach. And, a lot of it's not only what you know, but who you know, and developing contacts in the game that, as you move along as a coach, that someone says, hey, I think a lot of you. I'm going to help you move along and develop in your profession. So a lot of it's the bottom line is you got to get out there, be seen, experience it, and really spend the time working at it. And you got to roll up your sleeves and get in the gym and work with players and be able to have the interaction with them and understanding of what the player needs and being able to help that player get better. But there's no, and the funny thing is there's no exact way to do it. I mean, there's no exact roadmap, and everyone's kind of gone about it a little bit differently. But I would definitely say, though, that the visibility, the experience, the exposure, being around it, and not putting value on it early in your career. I think that's the other thing. If I look back on my first 5-6 years coaching, and I didn't make a whole lot of money, if any at all. But what I was getting, though, was experience, the contacts, and learning. It's like an internship in any job. And in today's day and age, jobs are hard to come by. So if you're willing to kind of take it on the chin and have to experience some challenges early in your career, later on it could really benefit you if you're willing to pay your dues. Because in the end, after you pay your dues, it'll all start coming back the other way for you.